everyone, welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scout. I'm joined, I called you Whizzkid Neale of the team news. Some comments about that already. Would you describe yourself as a Whizzkid, Neale?
Well, I'm not a kid, I'll tell you that. I'm hurtling towards 40 now.
Man doesn't really have the same kind of ring to it though, does it?
Well, again, I'm getting towards that point where I will probably be fighting myself the older I get. Thankfully, you didn't describe me as an in the know or team news guru or anything like that, because I would stress that I'm absolutely not any of that.
I did call the title the best predicted lineups.
Well, we do have some sort of evidence for that. It might have been a very small sample size of about 15 or 16 game weeks, but someone did do a study, I think it was 1 or 2 seasons ago, where they compared different sites' predictions and how accurate they were. And we did come out on top. Thankfully, they stopped the study at that point before I cocked it up over Christmas. So, yeah, I'm taking that. I'm putting that on my CV as the most accurate team news predictor out there. But yeah, I do my best.
Obviously, I knew that before I did the title. Obviously,
my motto is I'm wrong for the right reason. So if I get something wrong, there's been a reason why I put them in there in the first place. So there we go.
Yeah, it should be interesting on this. We haven't actually done one of these before. Obviously, we do the weekly team news, which covers the kind of press conferences. If anyone isn't aware, on fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, you can look at Neale's predicted lineups each week towards the end of the week. That's a combination of Neale going through all the forums, looking at the press conferences, doing a hell of a lot of research, making his best educated guesses. I mean, at the end of the day, obviously you can't cater for a lot of mad things that happen in football, but we can make our best educated guesses. I wanted to do one pre-season though, because obviously it's game week 1 and we've all got big decisions to make. I've got a team reveal video coming out tomorrow where I call it a team reveal. Is it a reveal? Am I going to make 6 changes tomorrow afternoon, probably, after the press conferences? But I think it's important to know where we kind of stand and where each team stands in relation to what we've seen pre-season with the news coming through. So without further ado, let's start. If you are enjoying this video, do give us a like, do give us a subscribe on the channel as well. We really appreciate it. I'm not Michael Richards, but I'll do my best to kind of be as good as he was. Right. Let's take a look at Arsenal first of all. So it's Ramsdale in goal. This is the predicted lineup from Neale. Ramsdale in goal, White at right back, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko, Odegaard, Partey, Xhaka, Saka, Jesus, and Gabriel Martinelli. It kind of picks itself, this one.
Yeah, one of the more confident I think we'll have this weekend. It's the same lineup that was named in the last 2 pre-season friendlies. Now, they're always a good pointer for game week 1. Not 100% all the time, but it looks increasingly like that will be the team. Arsenal's got 4 injuries. We heard from Arteta today. So Smith Rowe, Tomiyasu, Tierney and Vieira, all of whom will get game time, a lot of it probably as the season goes on, but they're all just back from injuries and building up match fitness. 3 of them could be in the squad tomorrow, but they won't be trouble in the starting 11. And we are fairly confident that the team you see there will be the starting 11 at Palace. Obviously, Nketiah is the main man to miss out. Arteta's tried him as a 2 with Jesus over the season. I think it was over the summer, sorry. I think it was in a 3-5-2-1 game. He even played on the left flank where Martinelli was or is. So he's tried different ways to incorporate
Interesting. My sound went as well for a bit. I'll just say Neale's power cable. Neale's having issue with the power cable of his mic and the power cable of his laptop. So maybe one of those has gone. Who knows? Interesting. I mean, I can't cover the team news on my own. I can rattle you through the lineups, but which I'll have to do if he's not back in a few minutes. Oh, look at that. He's completely gone. Maybe he'll be back. Who knows? Yeah, sorry. I had my mic muted. I was listening to to Neale. Will he join? So the annoying thing about these streams when this kind of thing happens is YouTube doesn't have an editor. Well, it does have an editor, but if you try and edit a YouTube video, it all crashes and deletes the video, so you can't actually edit anything. Hey, he's back.
I did warn you that was going to happen.
Was that the power cable of the laptop?
It was the power cable, yeah.
Okay.
We've got our internet fixed, we've got our new microphone, we've got a new webcam, got all that good stuff, and now the power cables are gone.
I've missed this, Neale.
It's a port. So that'll definitely be a fixed job for next week after Gameweek 1, but be prepared for me to drop out again as we go on for this video. Yeah, I think basically to summarise our Arsenal, very settled for now, whilst Smith Rowe, Tomiyasu, Tierney will build up match fitness.
I was just saying, I reckon quite a few videos I present I can cover. Like if the other person drops out, and I can probably carry on. I can't for this or team news. I've got no idea. So, but yeah, we haven't had a problem where you've actually dropped out and not come back before. So let's not start that now.
It doesn't look very good actually. My battery seems to be dropping again, so we might have to think of a different way to do this. But we'll carry on for now and see what happens.
Okay, if you drop out again, I might
have to dial you via phone if that's possible. But we'll carry on. We'll play on.
We'll work something out. Let's move over to Villa. I'm going to be constantly on edge now for the rest of the stream that you're going to disappear. So Villa, we got Martinez in goal. We got Cash, Konsa, Diego Carlos, and Dean, and it's McGinn, Kamara, Douglas Luiz, Bailey, pre-season bandwagon extraordinaire, Coutinho just behind Ollie Watkins. So a bit of a change of shape for Villa going into the new season.
Yeah, we've seen both shapes in pre-season. So we've seen the two up top over the summer, and we've seen what it is now, which is a sort of 4-3-3 with Bailey and Coutinho either side of Watkins. So yeah, that does look to be what's going to happen in Gameweek 1. Gerrard said that, I think it was after the penultimate pre-season game, that if they had a league game tomorrow, Bailey would be in the starting 11. He then went on to start the last pre-season friendly against Rennes, I think it was, and scored. So we think fairly confident that's going to happen. I believe outside of Bailey there were, how many were there? 8 players, I think, who played the last 2 pre-season friendlies. So they were Martinez, Diego Carlos, 2 fullbacks, John McGinn, Kamara, the new DM, Watkins and Coutinho. So we think they're settled. So the decisions are who's partnering Carlos at centre-half, and who plays alongside McGinn and Kamara in midfield. So it'll be either Ramsey or Luiz for that midfield spot. And then at centre-half, it might be Konsa over Mings. So Mings, who's been stripped of the captaincy, gone now to McGinn. Yep. And Carlos, I think, is a left-sider as well. So it doesn't look good. I think Mings was left out of that final starting 11 for the last pre-season friendly, and Konsa played alongside Carlos. So it doesn't look good for Mings, who's been error-prone for a while, that has to be said. And I think a lot of Villa fans are quite behind that decision. Yeah,
I mean, he was in the England squad, wasn't he? But unlikely he'll kind of get into that now. Just 2 things to address. One, if you can hear a weird tapping sound, it's probably my fan. It's really hot at the moment. So I'm red in all these streams. It's really hot in this room. And someone else, what I'm drinking, I'm always drinking blackcurrant squash. Love it. There you go. Little insight into my life. Okay, next up, Bournemouth. I've just realised as well, I'm putting myself on the spot here. I'm reading out all of the names of all these players, and I'm definitely going to mess them up. I think Bournemouth looks right. Travers in goal, Hill, Metham, Kelly, Smith, Lerma, Cook, Zamora, not Bobby Zamora, Christie, Solanke, and Anthony. I mean, not going to be a huge amount of interest in the Bournemouth predicted lineup, apart from that their defence is ravaged.
It is, yeah. I mean, they just haven't replaced. I mean, Nat Phillips went back to Liverpool. He was at Aloni last season, and they haven't replaced him. Now, this is probably where we have our first not quite sure lineup. They played a wing-back system for the latter part of pre-season, most of pre-season, and Parker said recently that he doesn't want to go back to a back four. He's very conservative-minded, and he wants the extra protection of another centre-half. However, he hasn't got any. So he's only got Kelly, he's the captain, and the other 2 who played on Saturday in the final pre-season friendly were both like reserves last season. Metham didn't get a look in; he was second string, and then Hill, he only came from, I think it was Fleetwood in January, and he's played 1 substitute appearance for Bournemouth. So to throw both of those in is a big ask. We might not actually see the formation we've like you see on that screen right now, which is a 3-4-3. So he might ditch one of Hill or Mepham and go with a back four, which he played for a lot of last season. He doesn't want to do it, but he may be forced into doing that. So if Mepham or Hill drop out, it'll be, you think Billen comes into that because he was a key part of last season's lineup, but doesn't seem to fit the wing-back system. They've also got Tavernier as well, who can either play in central midfield or on the left flank in place of Anthony. So we think that's sort of Solanke, Christie, Zamora, probably Cook and Lerma, Smith, Kelly and Travers are settled, and there's maybe like 2 or 3 positions which aren't, and that will dictate the formation.
I mean, no disrespect, that's got to be one of the worst back lines I've ever seen in the Premier League.
Parker even said it himself. This isn't like sort of hyperbole. He said it last weekend. He says we are completely underprepared for the new season. We need more signings, and that is just, you just don't know. Right? He actually had his press conference today, and he was a bit more. Someone's obviously had a word and said, "Can you be a bit more confident, please, like about the new season?" But he was a bit more bullish today. But yeah, he's clearly narked about the lack of signings, and that's also the case with Fulham.
City game week 2 as well. Oh, Neale's gone again. Look at that. Yeah, Operation Target Bournemouth. That's what a few people are saying in the chat. I mean, Solanke, I didn't really rate him when he was in the Premier League, but obviously 28 goals in the Championship was pretty impressive. They're going to have to attack, aren't they, to get anything from a lot of these games, which I think only boosts anyone playing them. So it's Villa in game week 1. I like the look of Coutinho. I know I mentioned him on Black Box last night, and quite a few people sort of poo-pooed that idea. But I think out of the Villa players that we talked about, if we just go back a screen, I think it's Villa that look strong, and then it's Coutinho or Bailey that I like the look of. Hello again, Neale.
Hello, I'm on my phone now.
You're on your phone.
Wait,
that's very.
I'm sticking with this from now until the end of the video. I might do the team news video on this tomorrow as well, just to be sure before. Take that old heap of junk into the computer shop. But anyway, I think I just finished Bournemouth nicely before the computer died. So off we go again. Who's next?
Off we go again. Next up, it is Brentford, the Bees, with Raya predicted starting goal. Hickey, I have no idea who that is. I'm sure you'll tell me. Janssen, me, and Henry. Jensen, Norgard, Janelt, and then it's Mbomo, Tony, and Visser predicted to start up top. Who is Hickey?
He's a new fullback signing from, I think he came from Bologna or somewhere like that.
Okay.
Aaron Hickey. I don't know much about him, I've got to be honest, but I think he's versatile.
He doesn't sound Italian.
No, he doesn't. No. He's I think is he Scottish? I might be wrong, but he's capable of playing on the left or right back. Obviously, they've got Rico Henry on the other side, so it'll be right back at first. So yeah, the lineup again, we're fairly confident. Thomas Frank last season, towards the end of the campaign, as you might remember, he switched to this back four system. So he started off last year with 3-5-2, which is why Mbomo is now a forward. But at the end of the season, it was a 4-3-3, and that was when they had that real pivotal patch at the end of the season. Obviously, they've lost Ericsson now. So he will reserve the 3-5-2 for the tougher games. So against like City, Liverpool, teams like that. Leicester, maybe not a tough game anymore. We'll see how Thomas Frank views that. But certainly the last few preseason lineups were all about the 4-3-3. There's obviously, it was a Keane Lewis partner who's come in, who's potential eating in the minutes up front, but the season start, it'll be Wissa, Mbomo and Tony. Norgard's back from injury, which I think sounds the death knell for Josh De Silva in terms of, we thought he may be getting minutes, and he will get minutes, but regular starts I think are a bit of a leap for now. It looks like Jensen and Janel either side of him, which is how it was towards the end of last season when Ericsson wasn't fit. And the back four pretty much picks itself because they've got Janssen and Pinnock. Sorry, they've got Christopher Asia and Pinnock out for quite some time, I think. So it's Janssen and me at centre half. And David Raya's played like all the first team friendlies over the summer. I think the new goalkeepers played one B team game against Arsenal, and that was it. So yeah, we're confident that David Raya will get the nod this weekend.
They need Damsgaard coming, don't they? A bit of creativity. They're very I mean, we saw when Eriksen came in, they kind of transformed defensively, but they just look there's a real lack of creativity in that side, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, good analysis, Neil. Thanks.
Oh yes, trying to minimise other windows. Yeah, so yeah, there is. Yeah, I mean, we saw the difference that Eriksen made when he came in, and I just haven't got that type of midfielder. Like Josh Silva's not that type, Onyeka's not that type. Jensen's the nearest thing, but he's very much the pound stretcher as Eriksen.
Yeah. Brighton next, my team. Sanchez predicted starting goal. You stuck with a back three of Veltman, Duncan, Webster. Solly March over at the right back. Gross, McAllister and Casado in midfield. Trossard at left wing back. And then Mwepu just behind Welbeck. Tricky one. Always tricky to predict Brighton. Who knows what mad thing Potter's gonna do. Looks pretty sensible.
Yeah, they've been fairly settled. I mean, towards the end of last season, he adopted this formation you see here, which is, it can be 3-5-2, it can be 3-5-1-1, it can be 3-4-2-1, which I think the last pre-season friendly was. So Gross and Mwepu behind Welbeck. So we think that'll be the starting shape. That's been the case all through the summer. Now, obviously, within that system, there's maybe one or two changes that you can make. I would think this would be the bulk of the lineup for Gameweek 1. You'll probably surprise us with one or two things, but McAllister's carrying a bit of an injury, so he could be out of this lineup, in which case you could see maybe Alzate or Lallana come in. Lamptey's obviously a possibility, a right wing back.
Barely played, didn't he, pre-season? It's a shame.
Sorry?
He's barely played pre-season, isn't he, Lamptey? It's a
yeah,
shame.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he started the penultimate game, but then it was March on the right in the last one, which is, again, often a good indicator. That was a game they won 5-1 against us.
Actually, he only got 18 minutes in that, actually, Lamptey.
Yeah, so, I mean, they'll use him throughout the season, but it'll be much like last year. I think where he'll be in and out that lineup.
I thought he'd you know, they'd managed him last season and pre-season. They'd kind of get him back to full fitness and look to unleash him, but yeah, it just doesn't look like that at all.
I mean, you'll be able to tell more than me, but part of it was form as well. He just didn't seem, he had that initial season where he was absolute dynamite when he was on the pitch. Yet last year he didn't really, when he was recovered, he didn't quite look at himself. And then he didn't get much of a look in the running either when they were in that purple patch of form. So it looks like March is going to play that way. And Trossard is a goal scoring left wing back. I can't get my head around that. And he starts it. Like I was writing about the best mid-price midfielders, and yes, he did overachieve at the end of the last season, but he was still, even if he just hit par for his XGI, it was still really good.
Yeah.
Like, it was still better than most of the other mid-price midfielders. So he scored a hat-trick.
I know, which is weird because Cucurella, the natural choice of left wing back, barely got any attacking returns, and his XGI was never anywhere near what Trossard's was.
They've kind of, again, you'll tell more than me, but they kind of adapted the shape a bit. So Trossard's like sort of he's more Alonso than any other kind of, like Paul Dummett. He sort of plays more inside forward, and then I think they have players covering for him. So whoever's on that left, is it Caicedo who sort of covers a bit? And then they obviously got Cucurella was playing as a left centre back, and obviously providing plenty of that cover as well. As you said, does many people's jobs.
We've lost our two most vital players really for that system in Cucurella and Basuma. I'm a bit concerned.
I wouldn't put it past Brighton to replace him because they keep doing it every year. Like, we did it with White last year. I know maybe White wasn't quite as integral, but we're still seen as a big loss at the time. So you seem to have a great scouting network. You get all these imports from like Ecuador and Argentina for like no money, and then they come good. So there's another few, isn't there, off the right? Sarmiento was meant to be having sort of
he's good, and we've got a striker, Ezekiel or something his name is. He looks really good. Yeah,
and the Paraguayan lad. Yeah. So in terms of, unfortunately for budget for strikers up top, it just looks like it's Welbeck at the moment. Undav's not really had that much of a look in pre-season, and Maupay sounds like he might be on his way out. Not 100% yet, but again, he was benched in the final two first team pre-season games as well. Yeah,
I wanted to see if Undav had started more and scored. He'll be our first choice striker before long, but it's too risky to start with him. But given the pre-season he's had. Okay, let's move over to Chelsea. It's Mendy in goal. Azpilicueta, he hasn't got his moves. In fact, you've got two Barcelona potentially bound players here. It's Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva and Koulibaly. Reece James at right wing back. People will be happy to know. Jorginho, Kante, Alonso. Havertz and Mount, and then just behind Sterling. Some interesting decisions here, Neale. Azpilicueta and Alonso both in. James at right wing back and Sterling up top.
Well, again, this is the team that was sent out against Udinese last Friday. There was two friendlies, and one was very much a first-team affair, and the one on the Saturday morning was definitely the reserves. Now, Alonso and Azpilicueta are definitely placeholders. I think they will be allowed to go at some point, maybe even by the end of August. And you've got Cucurella to come in as a left centre-back, meaning Koulibaly will go to where Aspi is now. And then Chilwell will obviously be that in that Alonso role. He's just not quite fit yet. He was rusty looking in pre-season, Chilwell, and then he got named in the second string starting 11 last Saturday. So we think Alonso is going to be starting at left wing back. Probably not too many decisions based on that because of Chilwell's lack of fitness. Werner's obviously, I think, surplus to requirements now. The front three looks, I would say, settled at the moment. Seem to link up pretty well against Udinese. And there's obviously that decision to be made in the engine room. There's Kovacic who can come in, obviously, and Gallagher as well, who's back. He was played a bit in over the summer. It was Kante and Jorginho last Friday. But the back three probably picks itself, I would say, at the moment until they get the Cucurella over the line. They've got Chalobah and Sarr, but they're not. I don't think they're ready to be regular starters in the Premier League. So obviously Koulibaly and Thiago will form 2/3 of that regular first line at the back when all the recruitment's done.
Sterling's very interesting one up top. 10 million FPL, a lot of money, but he was never a great false nine for City, was he? Like whenever you saw him play there, you always kind of thought, meh. But I'd imagine he'd be more attacking if he's playing in that role at Chelsea. Maybe less of a false nine because Havertz can do that.
Yeah. Take that that front three with a pinch of salt because they're quite fluid. I think Havertz will have times when he's, as you said, playing as that false nine, and he'll move around a bit. And Sterling's his finishing is his main criticism. I think, even though he scored I think he said double figures for goals in the last 5 seasons.
Yeah,
but he's XG out in the last 2 years has both been negative, which tells you a lot. The chances he was getting, he could have had even more at City than what he got. But he does get into good positions, and obviously quantity of shot is still important. If you're getting loads of chances, even if you've got a crap conversion rate, if you get 5 chances a game and only taking one of those, then it's still a good return. That front three, I think they've obviously got Pulisic and Ziyech still there, but that front three looks pretty settled for now. Last Friday it was Sterling probably playing more central, but Havertz was getting up in that position as well, and they will alternate, I think.
Good game against Everton coming up. It's Palace next, though. It's predicted to be Guaita in goal. Ward, Anderson, Gay and Mitchell. Eze, Doucouré, Schlupp, Jordan Ayew, Edouard and Zaha. Confident on this
one? Fairly. You never quite know Vieira. He's a bit of a slippery one in terms of especially strikers, as we saw last season. The back four, there's only really one decision there, and that's whether Ward or Klein gets a nod at right back. They've also got Chris Richards from Bayern, who's a centre half, but I think Vieira's saying it'll take him time to get up to speed. Midfield three, Eze and Doucouré are again confident in those being starters, and then it's Schlupp's maybe ahead of Hughes and Milivojevic at the moment. I think they need another midfielder there, really. And then up top, Zaha's obviously nailed. Ayew will play because Alicia is injured. Alicia is going to be out for another couple of weeks. He's been out all summer. And then up top, it's take a choice really probably between Edouard and Mateta, because Benteke has been third choice for quite a while. But it was Edouard who started last weekend against Montpellier, and he scored twice. I mean, pre-season form is not everything, but him and Zaha and Eze looked very good together. So you would think Vieira would stick with that for game week 1, but you're never quite sure, and he will change that on a weekly basis. I think Mark wrote something on for Scout, and he was saying that this is Mark Joblin. I think there's only 1 or 2 occasions where a striker made more than 4 consecutive starts, and then it was, Edouard dropping out, Mateta would come in, Benteke had a run at the start of the season, and it was just, you couldn't pin your colours to any mast, which is not what you want for $5.5 million. You need your budget players to be playing regularly so that they're ready for auto sub duties, and that's just not the case with Palace.
Zaha or bust, I think, in terms of Palace.
Zaha or bust, maybe Eze.
Yeah.
I've got my eyes on Eze.
Yeah, so am I, actually.
He looks good.
Yep. Agreed.
I think he'll have a good season.
Everton next. Oh dear. This is the predicted lineup for Everton. Pickford in goal. Godfrey, Mina, and new signing Tokowski. Centre back. Patterson at right wing back. Doucouré, Iwobi, Mikalenko, and then Gray, Dele Alli as a false 9, and Gordon. I mean, what are they going to do?
Grim, isn't it?
Sure is.
It's grim. Yeah, they've got Calvert-Lewin's out for 6 weeks. In case you haven't heard, we'll cover that again tomorrow. Rondon suspended, so it will be a false 9 of sorts up top. Dele Alli's obviously the favourite. I think he even played a bit there in pre-season. I think coming on for Rondon in one of the games, so I would think he would get the nod. 2 from 3 out wide. McNeil's obviously now in the equation. Scored twice on his debut against Dynamo Kiev, but I think he's only had a week with his teammates, so or just over that. So maybe Lampard will stick with Gray and Gordon at first. It was those 2 who started against Chelsea when they beat them in May, so maybe he'll stick with that. Not a very good-looking midfield 2. Certainly not a natural midfield 2. Iwobi's, more at home, I think, in a midfield 3 certainly, or out wide. But we saw against Kiev last Friday there was big gaps in that central midfield, which is why I think Chelsea could fill their boots this weekend. So Davies is out of this one, I think, and Allen's not fit either. So it looks like Doucouré and Iwobi in the middle. Coleman's fit, but he's lacking match fitness, so he's injury free, but not match sharp. He's going to get minutes with the under-23s tomorrow. So that looks like Patterson's got the Gameweek 1 start. He's a $4 million defender. Beyond that, obviously more of a concern because Coleman will be back in the squad probably from Gameweek 2.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because we're all going off Chelsea assets, but this is the time to be playing Everton for sure.
Yeah.
So,
It's from both ends of the pitch because I mean, I think obviously up front the clean sheet looks better without Calvert-Lewin there. At the back, Tarkowski has looked good in pre-season, but he's not going to steer the ship around single-handedly, and there's still question marks there, I think. And as I say, that lack of protection in the midfield looked a bit worrying against Kiev, even though they won. So I think Chelsea could win there quite comfortably.
It's insane to me that they can lose Richarlison and not bring anyone in. Like to go into the season with Calvert-Lewin and Rondon as your 2 strikers. I mean, Rondon doesn't even count.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. Lampard was talking.
Sorry, Solomon.
He used to be he was all right in Newcastle.
He did. I know. Unit.
Yeah, he's past his best now. Lampard was saying today that they're going to look towards a striker in the transfer window, so before the end of August, but they left it too late for Gameweek 1.
I sent to Mark last night on Black Box. Need to get in that guy who scored the penalty in the friendly.
Yeah,
he's probably available. Probably do a better job than Rondon.
Yeah, there's your punchline there. I think, he's. They were. I nearly added him to the pre-season spreadsheet for a joke. I felt better of it. One goal.
That'd be good. Okay, next up is Forest. I've given them a tiny badge for some reason. Sorry, Mark. Henderson in goal. Worrell, Steve Cook. McKenna is Steve Cook, right? From his own Bournemouth days.
It is.
Yeah, he's getting on a bit now, isn't he?
Those people who looks older than I think they are. I think
really?
Still around about 30.
Is he?
I thought he was 35.
Okay. Yep. So right. Apologies, Cook. McKenna is the back 3. It's Williams, O'Brien, Colback, Toffolo. Lingard. He's the kind of the opposite of imposter, I think. So he looks the best out of that lot I've just read out. And then Johnson and Don't
ask me that. I'll have to research that before.
Awoniyi.
I'm confident on that.
Awoniyi.
Yeah, the new striker we'll call him.
The new striker.
Yeah, mostly settled, but with a couple of positions I think where you could quibble. So Neale is the new centre half, and he might be preferred over Cook. The central midfield too is I think up for grabs. It just depends on fitness. So Yates was a regular last season, but he's been hampered by injury throughout the summer. And they've got a new lad, I think it's a Mangala. They've just brought in, but again, he's just arrived, so this one might be too soon. Which is why they might go for Colback and O'Brien in the first game, but then I think longer term, Mangala is going to come into that. Obviously, that's the end of Cafu was an option. We saw him in pre-season. He was always good, looking like he was just a placeholder. He's a $4.5 million midfielder. Was taking a few corners, scored an absolute screamer of a free kick, but it was always likely that he was going to drop out as soon as they recruited, and that's been the case. And that might be
about 50 now.
Position, I think. Yeah, but he scored it. He looked like the original with a free kick he scored. The one position I've seen Forest fans discussing is up top alongside Johnson. So the aforementioned striker you just named, you just butchered, is one option, and Surridge is the other one who's $5 million forward. Now I don't think there's any $4.5 million forwards we can rely on, but Surridge is probably the best of the fives. He was involved in every game for Forest last season after he joined. So whether that be as a starter or off the bench, he played every game. He got minutes, which is good for a budget forward. It might not be the case in the Premier League, but he's. I think some Forest fans think he might start in Gameweek 1. Others think he'll be coming on as a sub. But either way, he should get enough minutes, I think, as the season goes on, particularly if they're playing two up top, and particularly with a 5 subs rule, because there will be changes during the game. So one to watch, because he did all right when he scored a hat-trick against Swansea, I think, in April. So he knows where the goal is. One for the longer term watch list, but certainly not for your Gameweek 1 squad.
There you go. There's no other content creators recommending Sam Surridge. This is what you get when you tune into Neale and I on the team news. Steve Cook's younger than me, by the way, 31. So apologies to him. I genuinely thought he was about 37, but yeah, not based on looks. I just thought he'd been around for ages. He probably has. Okay, moving over to Fulham next. Rodak in goal, you predicted. Mbabu, Tosin, Ream and Robinson. Reed, João Palhinha, he sounds exciting. Decatur for Reed, Pereira, the 4.5 million mid of choice, Cabano, and the mighty Mitrovic up top.
Yeah, now one addendum to that is in goal. Now they've signed Bernd Leno since I last did that lineup. I think he signed, was it yesterday or the day before? And it was such a new signing that it wasn't in the database in the Optus playlist, so I couldn't insert him yesterday. We'll see what Marco Silva says tomorrow in his press conference, whether he's ready to start. But obviously Leno is going to come in between the posts, whether that's in Gameweek 1 or Gameweek 2. But yeah, Rodak's on borrowed time. Back four, I think we're waiting on an update on Tetney as well, who I think was clutching his hamstring last weekend. And Babu's just signed right back as well, so he could play there. The big omission, as you'll probably notice, is no Harry Wilson, who is injured. And it doesn't look good, according to Silva. It could be a long-term one. So they've got Reed and Cabano as the sort of default wingers. They've also got a new guy. Is it Solomon? Solomon, who's I think he's Israeli. Now, he's been training with him for a few weeks, but he could only be registered from August the 1st. So he hasn't played any pre-season games. So he's one who could come in. But the rest of that team, there's not much choice for Silva. He's one of the ones, as I said earlier, who's been complaining about recruitment. And a lot of that starting team, like Mitrovic, Tosin, Robinson, Reed, with two E's, or João Palhinha as well, are settled because there's no real competition. And Kenny's about the only other senior alternative who they could bring in, but a very, very thin squad, so relatively simple to predict.
I mean, they're an attacking side, but losing Wilson and losing Cavallo as well to Liverpool. That's two big players. So Pereira's got to come in and hit the ground running quickly, because he's going to be the number 10 and the guy they look to make things happen. And I don't rate him that highly, Andreas Pereira, if I'm being honest. From what I've seen him at United, I don't think he's that good. I mean, obviously everything's relative. No. He's a lot better than me, but
he isn't that good.
I don't think he's that great, but What do I know?
He's not. It's just purely the price tag, isn't it? It's just the fact that he's 4.5 million. He's on some set players, and that is it. If he was 5.5 million, no one would be looking twice at him, even 5 million. So it's just the fact that he's 4.5 million, but he looks like he'll be in the starting 11 anyway.
Yep, for sure. Okay, moving over to Leeds next. Melier in goal. New signing Christensen with his 80 goal involvements last season or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was like, how many was it? Like 18 or something? 18 got 10, 8
I
goals,
remember
10 assists.
He scored 7 in the league, just in the league alone.
Yeah, yeah.
So, eye-catching stuff, but it was the Austrian league.
Yeah.
I should just admit that.
Still interesting. Ruben Koch, Diego Llorente, and Strauch. God, he can play everywhere, can't he? Centre back, centre midfield. Adams in midfield with Roca, Aronson, Rodrigo, Harrison, and Bamford. So it's a new look midfield with Phillips gone. New signing at right back. Some of their signings haven't quite made it. Yeah. What are you feeling about this?
Yeah, starting as they mean to go on, because obviously last season they were heavily affected by injuries, and they've already got 7 players out for Gameweek 1. So that's as you were with Leeds. Not much to think about really, because of those absentees. In Gameweek 1, that looks like it was the team that was sent out last weekend and won 6-2 against Cagliari. That's the team you see there, and that looks like what we'll see in Gameweek 1. Stroud at left back because Firpo and Dallas are out, and James and Sinistero are both out at Gameweek 1 as well. So that would look likely that Aronson, Rodrigo, and Harrison's going to be the 3 behind Bamford.
Yep, interesting. Yep, we're about halfway through this video now. If you could like the stream, got 1,000 watching. Neil, not bad at all.
Good.
Yep, yeah. Excellent. People getting into the swing of things. If you could like the stream. If you could like the stream, not the scream. That's coming in after the deadline, I think. And subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. You good? We've got 9 more to do.
Good to go.
Good to go. Let's keep going. Leicester next. 4 million goalkeeper. You've gone for Danny Ward. Interesting. Talk about it in a sec. Castagna, Fofana, Evans, Justin, Tielemans, Ndidi, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, Vardy, Barnes. See, I think that's a good team. I think that is a good, solid team. If Leicester can keep those players for the season and keep them fit, they'll do all right. The questions are, can they keep them fit? Can they even keep them with the transfer window open? But the big thing is in goal, right? That's what everyone's talking about. This whole Ward and Iverson double up. You think Ward's going to get the nod?
It seems that way. I mean, I couldn't say it with absolute conviction, but based on Rodgers' quotes, he was talking about Leicester having 2 number 1s last season in Schmeichel and Ward, and that Ward was really unlucky. You know, he's a Wales international. He was bigging him up again after Schmeichel left this week, so he was talking about how, well, if we're taking him at face value, he was saying that Leicester aren't going to recruit another goalkeeper, at least not a senior. It'll be a 3rd choice. Whether he's kidding us and just to avoid clubs sticking on an extra 0 onto the price tag of goalkeepers because they know Leicester's desperate. I mean, that's one thing he could be doing, but we take him at his word. It looks like Ward's going to start the season in goal. Iverson's the other one. So if you're unsure, of course, you can pair the two as 4 million goalkeepers. But I think I'll be putting Ward in alongside maybe Sanchez as a sort of Brighton and Leicester rotate quite well defensively for the first 8 game weeks. So I think I'll be doing that. As you said, probably not a huge amount to discuss. I think because of a lack of options, lack of recruitment. Certainly, they haven't bought anybody. I think they're the only team. Am I right in thinking they're the only team in the top 5 leagues in Europe who haven't bought anybody this summer?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's the same lot again as last season, minus Schmeichel, and who knows, maybe minus Maddison as well. But for now, we think it'll be Castagna and Justin at fullback because Pereira's out injured. There are question marks over Barnes' fitness as well. He was withdrawn last weekend. We'll get an update from Rodgers tomorrow. He thinks he's fine. And I think the bulk of that team, I'm just trying to find my team identity. I think was it 8 of that team had started the last 2 games. Tielemans, funny enough, is the kind of one we're not sure about because he's a bit like Schmeichel. I think he's linked with a move away. I think he wants to leave the club. So he wasn't named in the starting 11 in the last 2 first team pre-season friendlies. I think we even saw Castagna playing out of position on the right wing in the last one. Sumari's played as well during pre-season. So Tielemans actually hasn't been a regular starter in pre-season, but he did come on for Pereira last weekend, which saw Castagna go back to right back. So he still might get a start in Gameweek 1. The rest of it, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Fofana and Evans are definitely first choice centre-half pairing. Dewsbury Hall's now a regular, no question about that. And Ndidi is the first choice central midfielder if he's fit. Maddison, obviously, and Vardy will only get rotated, I think, once the midweek game weeks come into play later in the autumn. So, yeah, not a great deal to discuss beyond the goalkeeping situation.
Yep. Excellent. I believe it is Liverpool next. It is indeed. We've got, you can cheat a little bit because you've seen the Community Shield lineup. Alisson in goal, Trent, Matip, Van Dijk and Robertson. Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, Salah, Firmino, Diaz. That is, apart from Adrian started, didn't he, in the goal, but other than that, that's the same lineup, right?
Yeah, we're expecting Alisson to be fit. I think he's already trained. The probably spots where you're looking at would be who lines up alongside Van Dijk. Well, Canardi's been, I think he picked up a knock last weekend, so that gives the advantage to Matip again. Henderson or Keita, you probably think in midfield. Keita was ill, so we'll see what Klopp says about him tomorrow. But it's up front where fantasy managers are probably most interested in. Salah and Diaz, obviously, we think are Gameweek 1 starters, and it's whether it's Firmino or Diaz. Firmino or Nunes up front. Now Nunes has done everything he possibly can to get the nod, and he still might, but he hasn't played more than 45 minutes in a game this pre-season. Firmino has been named in the starting 11 in the last 2 first-choice friendlies, so that was alongside Salah and Diaz on both occasions. Now, in both of those games, Darwin came off and scored. He scored 4 against Leipzig and then scored 1 against City. But this language that Klopp's been using about him being, he really plays with his impact, about him needing time and all that kind of stuff. It does suggest Firmino might get the nod at first against Fulham, but he's certainly getting ever closer to that sort of elusive start. And it is. I wouldn't say it's like 90-10 in Firmino's favour. I think it's a lot closer than that. Maybe a sort of 60-40 for Gameweek 1. So that would be the one position in that front three where I'd be a little bit unsure of. But Salah and Diaz are obviously, I think, sure starters for now.
I think Nunes starts. I'm going to disagree. I very rarely disagree with you on this. I think it's very close, but I think Nunes will get it just because he.
It is
scored.
close.
Yeah.
It might be right. I mean, Fulham are the team to throw someone in against because they are in such disarray. You don't really need a Firmino type. You don't need a sort of off the ball merchant.
That's what I'm thinking.
Someone who's linking up.
You can have someone just stays up top and doesn't have to be fully fit, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could still happen. Just going off pre-season minutes and Klopp's words about impact and all that kind of stuff. That's why I've sided with Firmino, but it is a close call, I think.
Yep. By the way, Neale is going to break a few more hearts before this stream is done with one team in particular, including my own. So wait for that. If you're a Nunes owner, you probably had your heart broken. Be prepared for more pain. Next is Manchester City. Backline easy. Rest of it maybe a little bit more difficult. Ederson in goal. Walker, Diaz, Ake and Cancelo. They've got no one else unless Stones makes a miraculous recovery. Can't see that changing. And then it's Rodri and Silva in midfield. And you've gone for Mahrez, De Bruyne, Grealish and Haaland up top. I mean, the only question mark really is Foden, right? If Foden does come in. But again, going from pre-season minutes, he hasn't played much, so probably doesn't start.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be less confident in that. I think if we look at what happened last season, so the Gameweek 1 lineup that Pep named against Spurs, now he benched the likes of De Bruyne, Bernardo, Rodri, Laporte, Walker, a very strong bench, all because they were laid back from Euro 2020 and they hadn't had much of a pre-season. It's slightly different with Foden, Gundogan and Stones. Now, they weren't part of the USA tour, so their pre-season minutes look very low. They all came up, they were all on the substitute bench in the Community Shield as well. But they were training throughout that time. They weren't injured, or at least not Foden and Gundogan. They were training with the under-23s, I think, in Croatia, and then they obviously came back and joined up with the rest of the squad. So it's not like they have been resting by the pool on holiday like the lads last season from Euro 2020. So they have been keeping fit. So that is one thing. And Grealish and Mahrez were pretty bad in the Community Shield. So and Foden and Alvarez made such a difference when they came on. So the two wing positions are the ones where there's, I think, any doubt, I think, in this lineup. Because I think we'll be pretty sure De Bruyne and Haaland's going to start. Rodri and Bernardo too. Not quite time for Phillips yet. We wouldn't have thought. Back four, I would think, picks itself. Stones hasn't had 1 minute of pre-season football. Didn't even get on the Community Shield. So we think that would be the case. And it's just which two out wide get the nod, which is going to be the case for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Grealish and Mahrez obviously have the advantage because of their involvement in America and then the start on the Community Shield, but didn't do a great deal to lay down a mark against Liverpool.
Foden looked good when he came on as well, I thought.
He did. He looked sharp, didn't he?
He did.
So that might be enough for a start.
Yep. Yep, nice. Okay, over to Newcastle next. Why is it Newcastle? Shouldn't it be United? Maybe. Oh well, Newcastle next. Let's do them. Yeah, your side. Pope in goal. Trippier's back. Fabian Schär, Botman and Target. Midfield three of Willock, Gamiresh and Joe Linton. Still can't believe it when I see Joe Linton at centre mid. Almiron, Wilson and Saint-Maximin up top. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the interesting thing is obviously Trippier coming back. Is a big target for a lot of people. I'm most interested in the midfield, though. I mean, Maddison, being linked with them. And Gamiresh, what's his role in the team? Because if Willock's there and Maddison comes in, does Maddison just replace Willock and that forces Gamiresh back more? I don't really know. It's an interesting one. But are you expecting Gamiresh to be a bit deeper with Willock starting?
It's, only because Shelby's out. So Shelby's injured. Last season, it was Shelby as the sixth, the deep line playmaker, and then Joe Linton and Bruno either side of him. Shelby's injury, we don't quite know the extent of it, but in the last pre-season friendly, which was against Athletic Bilbao, Bruno did play in that sixth role, so he did drop back in there, which dents his appeal from a fantasy perspective. So we don't know how long he's going to be in that position for. We don't know how long Shelby's out. They could even still change it because Longstaff can come in and play that Shelby role, and Bruno can go back to his box-to-box goal scoring. But at the moment, it might be Willock comes in and Bruno drops deeper. The rest of the team, I mean, Pope, Trippier and Target, Neale, Saint-Maximin and Wilson, so long as they're fit, the same. Almiron's had a good pre-season, so we think he may get the nod over Fraser on the right. And it's actually centre-half where there's a bit of a quandary because...
Where's my boy?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, Botman's obviously come in and he's a big money signing. However, we saw last season what happened with Bruno. He had to wait quite a while before he got a start because of the form of Willock and Joe Linton and Shelby. I think he was like a sub for the first 4 games. So there is a sliver of possibility that Botman's on the bench at first and Byrne and Shaw start because they were the pairing at the end of last season. Now, Botman's a left-sided defender, which is Byrne's position. So I would think Shaw and Botman will be the starting partnership, but Botman has played on the right, both previous clubs and for Newcastle over the summer as well, briefly. Said he didn't like playing there, but so there is a bit of uncertainty. So if you're looking for a cheap route into that Newcastle defence instead of Trippier or Pope, then I couldn't say with any great conviction he was going to line up at centre half yet until we see that Gameweek 1 lineup, and that is the only real area where I'm a bit unsure of Newcastle at the moment.
I mean, surely just pay the extra and get Trippier. I think he's worth 5 million.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he's
I was
a good
looking at his stats when he was at Spurs. Obviously, he wasn't on the pitch much last season, but the three last seasons he had at Spurs, his minutes per chance created was under 50. And in each of those seasons, which is absolutely brilliant for a defender.
Yeah.
That's like really good. That's like Alexander-Arnold levels. And he was in the top 2 every year for minutes per chance created. He's obviously on direct free kicks. He's playing in part of quite a good defence now. Pope's obviously going to help that as well, Botman, when he starts. So, I've got quite hopes for Trippier this season, I think, providing he stays fit.
Yep. Same. Okay, it should be United next. No, it's not Southampton. Where the hell are United? What have I done there? It's Southampton next. It's Bazunu in goal. Valerie Bella Kotchap. I don't know who that is. Salisu, Walker Peters, Ward Prowse, Lavia, Perot, Aribo, the soft sweet, Stuart Armstrong and Adam Armstrong. I'm so sorry, Southampton fans. I haven't heard of half of these players in your side. I didn't realise they'd been so active in the transfer market. Are they any good?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, I think there was one of them who was really good from an FPL perspective, Aribo, who's come from Rangers, I think. I think he's 5.5 midfielder. Now he looks really decent. Now he wouldn't be going anywhere near Southampton at the moment with pictures the way they are, but I've got my eye on him, and that's 5.5 bracket. He's played out of position up front this pre-season, as has Stuart Armstrong. I think the final game, he's played centre mid, he's played up top. This is Aribo. He's played on the right as well. I think the final pre-season game in the second half, it was Armstrong and Aribo playing sort of as wingers or just off the central striker. But he scored an absolute cracking solo goal, Aribo, in the final game. And he looks at talent. So he's one for the very long term watch list when Southampton's fixtures get good. The rest of them, there's a few decisions to be made. Aston obviously wants to play this wing back system now. He's sick of conceding goals. There's a few decisions at centre half. Valerie might be Bednarak. Perot might be Jeanette Moore purely from a fitness perspective because Perot's been out injured. And Romeo could be in place of Lavia. So there's a few 50-50 calls, I think. But I don't suppose anybody's going anywhere near Southampton anyway from an FPL perspective.
I mean, Valerie isn't the centre back, is he? He's a
well, he's a right in a three at the back. He's a centre half. He can play as the right side of centre half, and looks better there than he does when he's a fullback because he's not a good fullback, I don't think. But he's looked decent as a right side of centre half. Not just pre-season, but in the previous times when he's played there as well. Still might be Bednarak coming in into that back three. But yeah, as I say, no one's going to be remotely interested, I think, from an FPL perspective, not until the fixtures get good.
He's popular in the chat, Aribo. Quite a few people talking him up. Kids and grown-ups love him so.
Yeah. All right, yeah.
So sorry.
I thought we
have not moved on. I miss those days. I really wanted them to stay up so I could keep them going. Spurs next. God. Lloris, Romero, Dyer, Sanchez, you've predicted, and this is it. This is the thing absolutely no one wants to hear. At wing back, you've gone for Emerson Royale and Ryan Sessegnon. One then a second. Then you've gone for Bentancur and Højbjerg in midfield, and the front three pick themselves, Kulusevski, Kane and Son. Neale, what are you doing? Where's Doherty? Where's Perisic?
Yeah, well, I haven't finalised these lineups yet, but this is what my latest thinking was. So we've seen, starting at the back, Davies has just come back to fitness, so that's why Sanchez is in there. And Bissouma's carrying an injury, which is why we've got Bentancur and Højbjerg in there. Richarlison suspended as well, so Kulusevski, Sevski's, Kane and Son up top explains itself. So yeah, to the wing backs. So we've heard a number of quotes from Conte this week about the two, Perisic and Doherty. Let me drag up the preseason minutes spreadsheet here. Let's see if I can get that. Here we are, minutes tracker.
I'm really sad,
they
by the way.
both had...
I'm really sad that you haven't predicted either of them to start.
I think Perisic has got a better chance than Sessegnon, if I'm going off Conte's quotes.
You mean Doherty?
Like a general consensus. Doherty, sorry, yeah. Let me just double check how many minutes they got. So Perisic didn't get his first start until last weekend. That was against Roma. And he got 75 minutes, which is good. Which is a good sign. But he'd only previously played half an hour against Rangers. Doherty's played more pre-season, but Conte said today was struggling with his fitness. So he was non-committal on who would start, but did say, and I'll try and drag up the exact quote on Perisic because it was quite a good one. I've been covering the team news today because Conte's had his press conference. So let me get the team news quote up. Here it is. Perisic, he said, "It is normal that after a serious injury, Perisic is struggling a bit to come back in the best physical condition. He's happy about his reduced time to recovery, blah, blah, blah. Says at the same time, we are not worried, but we have to pay a bit of attention to give him the right time to adapt himself to recover 100% from the injury. And then goes, we will see, we've got another training session. It'll be the Hamo session on the left. So he's kept us guessing still, but he keeps going on about Perisic's fitness. One good thing for Perisic is that the 5 subs rule, and that Conte might be more inclined to start a player with 5 subs, I suppose, than he would if he had 3. So if he's got a half-fit player like Perisic, if he only had 3 subs, you might think twice about starting him. He's got 5, so he might still chance it and then see how he is after 60, 65 minutes.
I think he needs minutes. I think Perisic needs minutes.
He does need. Of course he needs minutes. Yeah, of course he needs minutes. And I think I haven't finalised his lineups yet. But there is the element of doubt. So if you want a sure thing, there isn't a guarantee of minutes in game week 1, and then they've got Chelsea in game week 2. So I can see why people are going off him. I've still got him in my score, I should say, for the time being, until I check out more Tottenham forums and local journalists and see what they're predicting. It's just that element of doubt going into game week 1, because you don't want that ideally, especially with so many weak benches. People are filling the benches with like 4.5 mids and 4 defenders.
Bloody Pereira's going to come on, isn't
he? Yeah, against Liverpool. So there is obviously an element of doubt. So, like I say, I will finalise these lineups tomorrow, but he's currently out of it.
Yeah.
It is much like Darwin and Firmino. It's quite close. And from what I read in the initial reaction to the Conte presser, Tottenham fans I think seem to be suggesting that Perisic's got a better chance than Doherty of starting.
That's what I think, because the quote I saw was against Roma, I made him play from the beginning to make him familiar with the pace of the match and with his teammates. Now that's just why I mentioned about the minutes, because you can't get familiar with the pace of a match and with teammates without playing. So with Chelsea in game week 2, I think it's more likely he gets 60 minutes and gets subbed off. Personally,
he could, yeah. I mean, he could. Because you've got limited windows for using substitutes as well. One of which is half time. One of the possibilities is, of course, giving 45 minutes to each, which is a bit of a maverick.
Oh God, no one wants that.
While you can use 5 subs, you've got to do it, I think, in 3 windows plus half time. So yeah, we'll see. We'll keep tabs on Tottenham forums over the next 24 hours, but don't get too worried if you are Perisic. You want to, based on my lineup, just be aware there is a chance he doesn't start and B doesn't get 60 minutes.
Well, you've caused mass panic in the chat, so there's no going back. There's no going back now.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Okay, next, Manchester United. I don't know why they're so far down this list. I was doing them alphabetically, but something's happened. But they are here. De Gea in goal, Dalot, Maguire, Lindelof, interesting, and Malacia, not sure which one.
Yeah.
Soft or Malacia? Go with Malacia.
You're asking the wrong person there.
Yeah, it was rhetorical. I don't trust you, if I'm being honest. Fred McTominay, Sancho, interesting. Bruno Fernandes, Elanga, and Rashford up top. I think Sancho's out, isn't he? Or is he not?
We haven't heard that definite.
We haven't heard that definite. Okay.
Just he hasn't been in today. He was ill. He's been ill. So we haven't had that cover. We know that Martial's almost certainly out based on the Athletic and Sky Sports. Sancho, I think, hadn't trained today. There might be more developments will have been online. Until I get the news that he's not available, then he stays in there. But it could be real difficulty in game week 1 because Martial out. It looks like Ronaldo's only had 45 minutes of pre-season and incurred his manager's wrath last weekend by walking out of the stadium before the game had finished. If Sancho is out, then that's one less attacking option. So then you're down to Elanga, Rashford, and possibly Ronaldo, or possibly someone like Eriksen or Van der Beek.
Is Diallo still around?
Diallo's still around. Fernandes can play sort of a false 9 as well. I know Ten Hag doesn't, tend to do that, but he did play that last season, I think, so he could play through the middle with Elanga and Rashford either side of him. But all of a sudden, that pre-season optimism with United is dissipating a bit because as it seems, we just haven't got the depth up top. they need to reinforce there really. The rest of the team, it's a toss up between Lindelof and Martinez, I think, for that left-sided role, because Maguire was there, but then he's been playing as the right-sided centre half in pre-season, which suggests Ten Hag still rates him. Lindelof started the last two, I think, alongside Maguire, possibly even more. And all Martinez has had is, I think, let's see how many minutes he got against Vallecano. He got 61 minutes on Sunday's final pre-season friendly. That was his only outing in pre-season for United, Martinez. Obviously, he's had a pre-season at Ajax as well. So that's why I think Lindelof might get the nod initially. Obviously, longer term, it's going to be Martinez who comes in for that spot. It's the same with Eriksen. Eriksen's had one start for United in pre-season. Might have to come in if Fernandes is redeployed with Sancho and Martial potentially being out. But all of a sudden, if you're a Brighton fan, you're looking a lot more optimistic last fixture, because there was a bit of a momentum behind United, and now that's certainly suddenly sort of come off.
And playing the mighty Brighton, Gameweek 1, no chance.
Yeah, they beat them 4-0, of course.
Absolutely.
Was it Neale?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's people in the chat saying they're changing their teams off the back of these predictions. So this is the power you have, Neale. You know, you hold the future of people's FPL seasons in the palm of your hand, and you'll just.
What I'm trying to do is just lower Perisic to one.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. At least I'm on the inside of that.
Yeah.
West Ham next. Fabianski in goal. Dawson, Zuma, Creswell, Soufal, Soucek, Rice, Johnson, Bowen, Fornals, and Antonio. No place for Ben Rama, last year's pre-season bandwagon.
No, and he just isn't nailed in that attack. Whenever they change shape or whenever they're in a bit of form, he tends to be a sacrificial lamb. Maui still doesn't really like him, I don't think. I think he sort of tolerates him, and at every opportunity he seems to give him a bit of criticism. Now, if they were playing with a back four, which they still might, then he could still be part of that team. But they set out in a wing back system that last pre-season friendly against, was it Long Lens? So that might have been in preparation for Gameweek 1, which of course is against Man City. And Moyes does occasionally use that wing back system in the bigger games against teams you think you might get beat off. So that might be why there's one less attacking midfield spot for Benrahma in this particular lineup. Now, against City last season, I think he played with a back four. They played him as recently as Gameweek 37, and I think he went forward at the back for that match with Bowen and Antonio up top. I think it was more like a sort of a diamond or a 4-3-1-2. So he might still do that, but you look at the last pre-season lineup and the formation, and you think, why is he playing that? Why is he practicing with a wing back system in the final pre-season game? Surely that's because of Gameweek 1 in mind, and the formidable opposition of Man City, and of course being without the new star centre half who's lost to injury now, who's had knee surgery. Aguerd, I think it is. So they've now got Dawson and Zuma and possibly Cresswell alongside him. So that's why you see what you do in the team news lineup.
Excellent stuff. Final team then. We've done all 20. Last but not least, kind of least, but we'll say not least, is Wolves. Jose Sarr in goal. Johnny, Collins, Kilman, and Aït-Nouri. Dendoncker, Neves, Moutinho, Gibbs White, Podence up top, and Neto.
Yeah.
Neto, obviously the other pre-season bandwagon in a lot of teams. In my team at the moment, I mean, again, I think Wolves is fairly straightforward, right? And any positions you think are tricky here?
I don't think so, actually. But I think since Jimenez got injured, it's been a sort of fluid front three up top of Podence, Neto, and Gibbs White. I don't think that'll be troubled. Bruno Lage seems very intent on playing with a back four, so it's centre half. You'd think where the main dilemma lies. You saw Kilman and Collins there in the final sort of first team friendly, and then Cody and Bolly were benched. I think Cody, obviously, there's doubts of whether he can play in a back two as opposed to a back three. So again, going off the final pre-season lineup, it would suggest that Kilman and Collins have got the nod, but there's still an element of doubt there. Fullbacks, I think, are fine for now. Semedo's still working his way back. And obviously Marcel's departed now, so Aït-Nouri and Johnny are the fullbacks for the time being. And Aït-Nouri's had some rave reviews in pre-season from Wolves fans. He's looked very good. Got far forward as well. I think he's been the fullback who's got had the most attacking license in this system, this new 4-3-3, whatever you want to call it. And seems to be getting in the box quite a bit. So he's got the left back spot for the moment. I don't think there's too many selection dilemmas. The Wolves have got a very thin squad, and they have done ever since they came up 3 or 4 years ago. There's not too many decisions there. I think Traore's got an injury as well. Chiquinho's out. Fabio Silva's been packed off to Anderlecht, so they haven't really got that many alternatives to what you see there.
Yep. Amazing. That's it. All 20 teams covered. Neale, you might have your tech issues, but you are very much the brains behind everything good that goes on. At Scout, I'd urge everyone to check out Fantasy Football Scout. Have a look at, you can see these predicted lineups. This is a free member. If you want to look in more detail at pre-season, sign up, be a premium member. You can check out our amazing spreadsheet, tracking all the minutes across all the players, across all the teams, and kind of make your own decisions on lineups as well. Obviously, we've got all the tools as well, comparison tools, Rate My Team, the transfer planner. Mark and Andy are doing a members video tonight as well. So yeah, loads of great stuff going on at Scout ahead of the deadline tomorrow. Neale, hour 15. Thank you so much for joining me. We're doing it again tomorrow. Team news, same stuff again. Can't wait.
And at that point, I can update you on the predicted lineups as well. So we'll give you more of a definitive answer on Spurs wing backs.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that clickbait to get people to watch tomorrow. Amazing. Thanks everyone in the chat. It's been great. This is why we do it live. I love reading all the comments kind of as we go. Thanks for putting up with the technical issues as well. I would promise that it won't happen again, but it almost certainly will, because I'm in charge and Neale was just plagued by them in general. So yeah, got those to look forward to on the next stream. But thanks everyone, and we will see you very soon.